We are back with you, Metal Summoners. It is Wednesday night, and we are ready to rock out with you guys as always and just have an all-round really great time landing on your island of misfit toys with all of us beautiful people. Not quite as beautiful as our guest, but still beautiful all the same. We've got Angel Alamo, we have the Psycho Steve, and I am Salem J. Thank you guys so much, as always, for rocking out with us. And speaking of our ever so beautiful guest, we are joined with Disciples of Verity, God forbids, Corey Pierce. How are you, brother?
What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with us.
All good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, absolutely, man. So we touched on it briefly off the air, but we got to jump back and jump right in to the big exciting news. Reunion, God forbid, Blue Ridge Rock Fest in September.
Yeah, man. It's pretty fucking crazy. Obviously, it was as much a surprise for me as I think as anybody else.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of came about. Like, I guess we had talked about it, randomly over time, like I guess any band does, as long as you don't completely hate each other. But it was just kind of very like, a sort of an aloof concept, like in the background sort of idea, like, yeah, maybe one day, blah, 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 blah kind of thing. And people are blowing up my freaking phone right now too. I'm sorry. It's like,
That's okay.
But,
That's okay.
So, obviously we kind of like chatted about it intermittently here or there, like once in a blue moon, because the band was still getting offers, pretty much the entire time that, since we've been broken up. So, we'd received emails, you get the cage, somebody wants, they want to book you for this, they want to book you for that. And, we kind of chatted about it, but it was never like a really serious discussion. It was just kind of like, all right, when the time is right, and everybody's feeling it, maybe it'll happen sort of thing. It was a very abstract concept for a very long time. So, yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like, here's this very real, not that the other opportunities weren't real, but here's this very real opportunity. Do you guys want to do it? And it kind of just sort of snapped into focus, and everybody was sort of, immediately sort of agreed, like, okay, let's do this. And I was like, what? Like, we are? We're going to do this now? So, yeah, I was a little surprised that, I guess initially it's just kind of like when you're away from doing that specific project for so long, it was crazy to imagine that it was going to just all of a sudden just be like, boom, okay, now we're doing it. You know what I mean? Sure. It was definitely a little shocking. And I heard myself, sort of saying the words like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was kind of like, those words just come out of my face, kind of thing. But, I don't regret it, by any means, it's just like, I never thought that, I didn't really ever embrace the idea that I was really going to do it, or it was really going to sort of happen. So, but here we are and it's happening.
Absolutely. So, 100%, man. But that's really, really awesome too, because you also happened to mention that that doubles a little bit as a bit of a birthday celebration for you.
Yeah, man. My birthday is like a couple days before. Like some friends of mine that are actually coming to the show have birthdays like right around mine. So There's a lot of talk about what may go down for birthday celebrations. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of crazy people and a lot of friends are going to be there that like I really, haven't toured with or played shows with obviously in years and years. And, there's a lot of crazy dudes there from Shadows Fall to Lamb of God, Anthrax God, like a lot of bands that I know and are friends with. And so who knows what may happen there? I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, we'll leave a little bit up to the imagination, as the months tick a little bit closer to that. We don't want to spoil all the fun for you, Corey.
I'm sure it'll be a good time.
Absolutely, 100%. Psycho Steve, it's all you, brother.
So, welcome to the show. From one Jersey into another. So, first question I just want to say thank you to Melissa Stiles for having. So,
don't thank her for anything. Okay, we're gonna stop that nonsense right now.
Okay, then fuck her.
No thanking Melissa for anything.
Okay. All right. I tried.
Is that her messaging right now? Is that her messaging?
Yes.
You can go to hell. That's what you could do.
He said it. I didn't. I was just thanking you. That's all. All right. So
I say it to her all the time. Believe me.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I say it to her all the time.
Steve,
how things have to go sometimes.
You just lost the ability to ever get to go to Dingbats again, Steve.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fred's texting me right now. He's like, "You're off the list."
Yep.
They're gonna have my picture up at the wall, like they did at Starland for a couple months. Do not let this Jew in.
I mean,
you got kicked out.
I mean, that post that you have, Steve, is really worth a picture.
I don't think I've ever been kicked.
I
don't think I've ever been kicked out of anywhere ever.
All right, so I was banned from Starland Ballroom because a band I used to manage lied to the former owner of Starland, and it was about tickets.
Tony. They lied to Tony.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't lie to Big Tony. That's a bad idea.
Right. And he pulled a gun out and threatened to kill me.
Yeah, I mean, I know who Tony is.
Yeah.
Tony loves him, God forbid, though. He was a great dude. He treated me awesome.
I love Corey's nonchalant response to your story, Steve. He's like, he pulled out a gun and tried to kill me. Yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I peed my pants. I passed out.
Did he seem like the type of character that fucks around? Like you should play games.
So this is what happened. So I was managing to protect the band's image and them because I'm only friends with the singer still. But just to tell you, they
do they still exist?
No.
Okay, well then what difference does it make?
Okay, so the name of the band was The Dropouts.
Huh?
From South Jersey, Philly area. The lead singer, the drummer, was responsible for this whole fiasco that happened. And so, of course, me managing the band, I go up to Tony's office upstairs. Now, I brought a lot of regional acts and national acts and local acts to Tony in the past. This was a local band that was just getting a really nice buzz. So I brought them, and they sold allegedly 225 tickets for opening up for Skid Row and King's X. And of course, the more tickets you sell, the closer you get to the direct support slot. I bring all the money that I thought was there and counted for up to Tony's office, and Tony's right arm man was standing right next to him. And Tony's like, and he had a little bar stool right in front of his table or his desk. And he goes, "Hey, just to let you know," he's just like, "all the money there?" I'm like, "It should be." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "You'd never fuck me, right, Steve?" I'm like, "You're not my type, Tony." He's like, "Okay." Starts counting the money and everything, and found out his money was short. So he flipped out, reached underneath his desk, pulled out a gun, and tapped me in the head with it, and went like that, and goes, "I can fuck you, kill you right now, and bury you in the junkyard right next door, and no one will ever know." I literally got so
he's not wrong. He's not wrong about that.
True. And it's soundproof up there. Bands are already playing, so you wouldn't hear anything.
I'm sure there's plenty of remnants in that junkyard. That junkyard's been there a long time.
So I got so scared, I literally pissed my pants and I passed out. Literally. Okay. couple seconds later, his bouncer, head of security, revived me, told me, and then he goes on the walkie-talkie and goes, "Do not let the band load out." He's like, "I'll keep their equipment as, collateral." And I ran downstairs, and then I grabbed the drummer, and I said, "You need to talk to Tony right now." Because he had a relationship with him, because his previous job, or his job during the day, was he was a mortgage broker, and he helped Tony refinance one of his houses. And I go upstairs. I'm covered in pee, of course, because I'm scared out of my mind. And the drummer goes in and goes, "What's going on?" And he goes, "Where's my money?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You owe me money." And he's like, "How much do we not owe you? I'll just write you a check." He's like, "Come on, who writes a fucking check for a concert ticket? I want cash and I want it now." He's like, "Yeah, probably Steve took it." Now, mind you, I'm Jewish. So 1, I like money. 2, I'm the manager of the band. So if the band gets paid, I get paid. 3, why would I fuck with Tony's money? And with Tony, period, because I know him personally, and that's it. So I went back downstairs. I waited for them to go pay the band, pay Tony. I loaded all their equipment because my brother was nice enough at the time to let me use his minivan. And I went home and I downed a whole bottle of Jaeger and I passed out. I woke up the following morning and I went down to South Jersey and I had to talk with the drummer and the singer. And I said, "I think it's best for me to part ways with you guys." I took all my shit and took all their shit out. I called all the companies that were the endorsement because they were in my name. For example, Jaeger and a bunch of other companies. And I stopped. And then people were telling me, because I didn't go to any shows for like almost 6 months straight. People were telling me there was a picture of me near the clock in the kitchen to not let me come into the venue.
Oh man.
So, and that's what happened. So
yeah, I can see all of that. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Tony was awesome to me.
Yeah. I haven't seen or talked to him since then, I
mean, I haven't seen Tony in years, but he always was like super cool to us, man. Always super nice. He loves him, God forbid, man. He was fucking loved us. So, I mean, they kind of just let us get away with anything in there. I didn't. I definitely remember playing shows in there. Like, my God, every time you guys play here, the entire fucking place smells like weed. There's people everywhere. It's like, but he didn't really care, man. He just fucking, I don't know, whatever, man. He's like, you guys do what you're gonna do. I remember numerous incidences there where definitely bad things should have happened. He was just like, dude, whatever, man. He just let me go ahead. Go ahead. He's like, you okay? Everything okay? I'm like, all right, I'm good. Right. But then again, I never had, I guess we never had any reason for confrontation.
Right.
He was always fair. He was always fair to us and treated us well and never disrespectful in any way, really.
Yeah, and it was not my intention to do that to him. And later, I saw him later and everything, and it's water under the bridge. It happened. The band disbanded, of course, and I still speak to the singer, the drummer, the bass player, and very rarely I speak to the bass player, but more the singer and everything like that. And
I would have been speaking to any of them dudes. I'd have been like, "Yo, you motherfuckers almost got me killed. I can't talk to you ever again."
Right. Well, it was the drummer's fault. The drummer is known for being very, troublesome with not just our band, that band at the time, but many bands. He's caused a lot of drama.
Troubles.
So, and like I said, I don't like to slander anyone, but that's why I will never have a friendship or even communication with him, because he's a total muzzle, to put it nicely.
I mean, it's not slander if it's true,
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the douchebag is fucked up for doing that.
For sure.
So.
Is Tony still in the business?
Yes. So Tony sold his portion of the Starland because now it's corporately owned. He still owns the liquor license, though, because he's also the president of a company called Concerts East.
Interesting.
Yes.
So
I remember way back in the early days when he used to have, a lot of dealings with like Stan Levinstone and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
And Stan and his daughters loved us too. So we always had all that staff for some reason just loved us, man. All the bouncers loved us. Everybody was.
Well, I saw you guys at the Birch Hill.
Oh yeah, man! I used to love going to Birch Hill. They used to be.
Yeah, I used to DJ in between the bands at the Birch Hill. So that's one of my claims to shame. So,
Nice.
so the first question I have for you is, God forbid, who came up with the name?
I mean, I believe it was Dallas. I mean, I think we've talked about this like a lot of times. And at some point I really do, but I honestly feel like he was just launching names out there and then said something about it. And I think that everybody was just tired of talking about it too. So that was like, it was a combination of like, okay, that's cool. And a combination of like, I don't want to argue about this anymore. So I think it was Dallas that actually came up with the name because we went through a couple of different names initially, starting with the group of people that we had, and then we started, basically writing in a different sort of direction, I guess, stylistically, and that's when the name. Plus, it's like we had a name that was too hard to pronounce, so. Then
which was
oh no, I'm not gonna talk about that.
I told you I almost got my head blown off, and you can't even tell me that damn name.
People are gonna have to research that. It's too embarrassing. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere out there are cassettes that are pre God forbid cassettes with both. There was actually two names for the band before God forbid. But and there's demos from both lurking out there. I know a couple of friends that still have the cassette demos with the names on, but like the bullshit, like color copied inlays on the outside. One was like Bill Clinton giving devil horns or something like that. I can't remember. So, or he's smoking a joint, something crazy like that. It's long years ago. I mean, you're talking it was like 1998 or 97, somewhere around that. So. It was a different world, man. It was a different world.
Jay and Angel are very young, so do we need to explain what a cassette is, guys? Okay.
Oh, you can kiss the fattest.
Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. I'm 21, but thank you for the compliment.
And for all our fans out there that are young, dumb, and maybe somewhat full of them.
I mean, CDs, it's not like CDs didn't exist, but people like, it was like a cheap way to, not only get your music around, but it was also a way that you could kind of own your music,
right?
Like before, like, when, bands were small and you're not really into like, you're not like a member of CSAC or ASCAP or something like that. You were just like, okay, I want to make sure nobody could steal my shit. Like people used to like, mail themselves, their own cassettes and then come out with cassettes with all the information on it.
Yeah, the liner notes.
Yeah, well, not even liner notes. It just have like the band's name on it and maybe like the song titles on it. And it was a way of claiming your property. So like if anybody stole your shit, you could document that it's been out such and such time. But it's like the cheap way of, maintaining your copyright ownership back in the day. But it was also an easy way to like share your shit around because it didn't cost you anything. I mean, obviously with the internet today, you could share shit around in the blink of an eye, but then you actually had to like go to shows and like talk to people and, you had to actually engage with other people, for them to know your band and to know who you were and, to kind of, make some sort of connection with the band. You know what I mean? We used to do all kinds of stuff. We used to go around with like a Discman and play our EP for people at the show, like just walk around and put headphones on people and play it to get them to go to their merch booth and check us out. Like we were always hustling, always, going to more shows and talking to people and hanging out. Obviously today, I think there's a lot less of that, which I think is sad, if nothing else. But, it's just a different world. You either, you have to adapt to it and, bitching about it obviously doesn't change anything. So because there's a lot of people I hear that, you know, they bitch about this and they bitch about the internet and they bitch about downloads and they bitch about all these things. But, you know, I think it's pointless. You know, it's pointless to stand around bitching about, you know, oh, back in my day, we didn't download, we just bought CDs, and that's great, you know. And I mean, I still like to buy, you know, I'll still buy CDs just because I know what it's like to buy a CD. There's plenty of people that are young enough that they've never bought a CD in their life. You know, they've had no reason to. They, you know, it's like, why would I do that? You know, they have no interest in any of that. But and obviously, it's like, you know, a lot of those things. It's like buying a book instead of buying a book on fucking Amazon or fucking whatever. You know, having something tangible that is yours and that you can like look at physically and own is a completely different feeling. And I just feel like also, you know, it's like, you know, people who are like into bands and into music in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, like even, you know, before my time, obviously, were when they liked the band, they were just interested in everything. They wanted to find out where the album was recorded. They wanted to know everything about it. They wanted to know the history. Then they wanted to know about the record label, everything. You know, now people don't give a fuck. They're just like, all right, I like this song, but now I like this another song. Now I like this song, you know, because it's a barrage of media coming at you all the time. So maybe certain people will take the time to investigate that type of shit. But I mean, on the whole, I think, you know, most people, they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? They like what they like in that moment, and then they're on to the new shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have some like obscure cassettes and stuff like that. Like I have, I saw Soundgarden in a really small little coffee shop, and it's like
you say you have a Muir cassette? Is that what you said?
No, Soundgarden.
Oh, I thought you said a Muir for a second. I was like, why would you have that?
No, I have like one of the demos of like, it's like 5 songs EP basically that, you know, Soundgarden before they got signed and before they became Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I have a bunch of weird shit lying around. Like somewhere I do have a Coal Chamber demo, and it doesn't even sound like, it kind of sounds like Coal Chamber, but the sound is so busted that it's like you wouldn't even recognize it. It was like before they like really recorded it and got production and shit and like got hooked up with Sharon Osbourne and all that shit. It's like busted. You're like, man, this shit sounds terrible.
That's amazing. I love Coal Chamber.
And then, you know, obviously they got production, went to a studio, you know, got their shit straightened out. But yeah, it sounds busted. But I mean, who doesn't have some busted sounding shit in the beginning stages? You know what I mean? You're just like done on a 4-track in the basement, or, you know, some people, you know, a lot of these punk rock people did shit on boom boxes and shit, which is one of the main reasons I am never going to be like a legit like punk rocker. I don't even understand that concept. Like, I'm never going to be that dude, you know. I don't understand the movement of punk rock. I mean, I understand it in the theoretical sense, but I'm sure that I'm never going to truly be a part of it, nor do I really, you know. I can't see where I would ever be like, yeah, man, I fucking love punk rock, because that is just never going to happen in my lifetime. It's just not. And I got a lot of friends that, you know, love the grimiest underground sound and shit, and I'm really not that dude. You know, like, I don't get pissed at bands when they start blowing up and they get bigger and they sound better. Like, I don't start hating on them because of that. Like, everybody's like, you know, bands get big and they're like, I love the fucking demo back in '95. You know, like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. And you know that shit sounds worse. Like, you may have some nostalgia for it, but you have to embrace the realities of the situation. It's like, you know, I miss seeing them in the fucking Masonic Temple basement instead of the fucking arena. Okay, well, that's your prerogative. I don't really see how that makes any sense whatsoever, but you know, that's a great thing about stuff that's creative, I guess. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It's just all about people's feelings. You know what I mean? That's also the hardest thing about music. You know, you could have the most talented band in the world, you know, and they put out a record and it just goes nowhere. You know, nothing happens for them, because ultimately it comes down to just how people feel about something. You can't really determine that. You can only do what you think is going to be good, and then people either don't like it or they're gonna think it sucks. You know what I mean? If you're lucky. If you're unlucky, then people will think it's mediocre and have no opinion about it whatsoever, and they'll be very dismissive of it before it even becomes anything, which I think is the worst position. I'd rather be hated than sort of just be dismissed as nothing to even think about. I think that's probably the worst place you could be as a band, you know, where you're not liked or hated. Everybody's kind of like, oh, whatever, they're there. They exist.
Well, it's true, Corey. And it's funny with that kind of stuff. Like, if you ever saw like the Anvil documentary, that was basically like how it started with like this old footage of them playing like these big festivals, playing with bands like Metallica, where like Metallica and those type of bands were always like so complimentary of those guys. They'd be like, dude, Anvil was the fucking like greatest band. It was this, it was that. The guy used to play his guitar with like a fucking vibrator, and their shows were epic and huge. And they were just a band that they just didn't go anywhere. And they put out like something near like 20 albums now. But they're just one of those bands that just kind of got relegated to the club stage, the club scene, despite the fact that the big arena acts like looked up to them.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of bands that influence other bands. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel God Forbid was kind of like that. I felt like a lot of bands liked us. And I mean, not that we didn't attain any fan success, but I always felt like we're a band that affected like a lot of other musicians more than we had an effect on a larger fan base. Which, you know, hindsight being 2020 doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, it did in the moment when I was thinking about, you know, kind of having these sort of thoughts when things are going on, like, why aren't we bigger? You know, which is like one of the biggest questions that you always see, like anytime people really reference this band is like, how come God Forbid wasn't bigger? I mean, I guess because, I don't know, enough people didn't care. How do you really answer that question? I mean, that's the only common sense answer that you could come up with at the end of the day. Like, enough people just didn't care. But, you know, I mean, I felt that way in New Jersey. Like, look at us at E-Town. Okay, so if you look on paper, obviously, God Forbid, attained a lot more success as a band than E-Town did. But if E-Town plays New Jersey, you know, like they do every fucking year, they sell out 1 or 2 days of Starland, whatever it is. And like, we would play New Jersey, it was like, we would never get the same kind of love that E-Town would get. And it's, you know, that's not a jealousy thing. That's just a matter of fact. Like, that's how it was. Now, what reasons are that? I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if I want to quantify all those reasons, but there's a lot of reasons that went through my head about it. But it was always like, why is that? You know, what is stopping us from being, you know, we're from Jersey. We've done a lot more. We've sold a lot more records, but, you know, we come home and where's the love? Where's the E-Town could do nothing for 5 years and play a show, you know, or they could do write no new records and do no touring. And then, you know, they'd play a show and everybody like, oh my God, people flying home that had moved out of state would fly home for E-Town show. You know what I mean? And we would play New Jersey, and it's like, you know, I mean, obviously there'd be people there, but it was like, yo, where's that kind of love? You know, it just, and then people be like, and then every time like, you go out, people are like, when are you going to play in New Jersey next? And I'm just starting to think in my head, fucking never, man. You guys don't show us E-Town love. That's why we're not playing New Jersey, because fuck y'all. Show us some E-Town love, maybe we'll play a little bit more, but, you know. Yeah. It wasn't really like that, but it's, you know, it was definitely always like a thing where it was one of those kind of like underground things about the band, like, you know, friends and people that were always posting on like websites now and shit, like how it's like one of the most underrated bands ever. And I don't disagree with that. Really in pretty much any capacity. I feel like the band was definitely very underrated, but I felt like you know, I do have a lot of pride in the fact that the band was also very respected by every band that everybody loved our band. So in that way, you kind of feel like, man, if everybody loves our band so much, how come all these people that love their bands don't love our band the same way? But, you know, that's just how shit was. You know, what are you going to do? You know, you can search for the answers, but you're never really going to get them because at the end of the day, it's an intangible quality. It's not something that you can always quantify, you know.
Very true. Absolutely. 100%.
Shit is what it is, as they say.
As it is. Absolutely. For sure. Angel, let's kick it up to you, brother.
A question is, besides rock, what other styles of music do you like playing?
I mean, I like playing a lot of different stuff. I like playing classical. I was actually trained in classical percussion, and I did drum corps for a bunch of years. Also, I have some jazz training. So, I mean, I like playing pretty much. I actually like playing a lot of different things. I'll play some country, and I'm very specific about the country that I like. Like, I don't like pop country. You know what I mean? I like real country. You know, I'm not down with all this pop country shit. I'm not feeling any of that shit really at all. I like that grimy country. I like outlaw country and like blues country. I don't like any of this pop music that it's people that put on cowboy hats and then they have like a fucking banjo in the background. Now all of a sudden it's country. I'm not really feeling that shit. You know, I was never down with the Billy Ray Cyrus movement or any of that kind of shit. Everything with him and everything that pretty much was in that vein, that pop sort of vein after that, it's just not my thing. You know what I mean? Just not digging it. But I literally there's just tons of music that I like and I like to play. I like to play a lot of Latin music. I've been actually playing a lot of salsa stuff and Brazilian jazz lately. Just because it sharpens your skills in different ways and it gives you different ideas. And I mean, even, you know, writing God forbid stuff. And I was always kind of pulling from other places. And a lot of those places weren't really metal places. You know, like I wasn't always I felt like a lot of guys that were always playing drums. It was always about these, you know, making all these big fills and kind of showboating, trying to, you know, it was all about trying to swing the bigger sword. And I just felt like I wanted my shit to just be more smooth and kind of just, you know, kind of fluid. So I just kind of that was sort of more my desires to make everything kind of just flawless, like everything sort of be smooth and fluid all the time. And I was less about trying to, you know, swing my dick to, I can play all these fucking crazy fills and shit on everybody. Like, I mean, you know, I suppose that on some level I could do that, but I don't know. Like, I felt like that shit's boring, you know, like everybody was basically trying to do that. You know, everybody's out there trying to you know, front like they're Dave Lombardo or somebody just trying to play all fills on top of fills and, you know, trying to just play a bunch of crazy shit for the sake of doing it. Like, and that's what they thought, I guess they thought metal was about. Like, I felt it was more about just having, you know, creative expression. Like you could just, a metal allows you to have this free reign to kind of just do, you know, basically voice ideas in your head in a physical way, essentially. And my idea in my head was I wanted to play some shit that was kind of crazy, but I wanted to make it sound like it was effortless. You know, I wanted to make it sound like it was fluid and completely smooth and not just, you know, all the time. Like, I felt like it's really got just corny. You know what I mean? I wanted to have my shit just kind of be like, almost like jazz, where it's like they can improv shit, but it's absolutely fluid. You never really notice any nothing seems like it shouldn't be there or it's overly aggressive. It's like, I think there's a lot of stuff that I really feel, you know, like I played that if you heard it, you couldn't even really tell how difficult it was to play unless you actually knew what it was I was playing, as opposed to where, you know, then you have guys that are just playing like, you know, like everybody's like, oh my God, so crazy. But it's really not that crazy. It's just any fool can play that shit. if you just sit there and go through the paces of repetition, it's a lot harder to create something that's different and still make it fluid over a style of music that is obviously a bit more technically demanding, and make it sound like it's not technically demanding, essentially. you know,
sure. Absolutely, man.
Which pretty much my goal. I wanted to play stuff that, you know, was technically demanding and kind of with, you know, kind of kept a certain level of integrity, but I wanted it to sound fluid and like almost like it was just easy to me, which most of the time it was not, but I tried to make it sound like it was. Yeah. So
Absolutely, brother, for sure.
I'm gonna take a quick pause and bring in Brad Lee.
Hey, it's that
Bring me
guy.
bring me in when I'm taking a drink. Why don't you?
I got your shirt on.
Doing this to you, bro.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought we'd bring in a special appearance from our good friend Brad Lee because of some recent announcements, but also because we thought we'd make the Metal Summit a little bit greener on 420.
420.
You know, we have to celebrate the right way. You know what I mean? So, you know, whatever it takes to get even, I'd much rather do it the green way, man. We're all about staying green these days. So,
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
yeah, nothing wrong with green. I love the green.
Yeah, man. Like I'm a cannabis guy, man. I'm an advocate, man. Like, you know, people say what they will about it, but you know, I've been through a lot of shit here in the last couple of years, as many of us have, and you know, this is way better than the alternative. You know what I mean? And it, you know, it keeps me balanced and gets me through some tough circumstances like everybody else. So I appreciate that all y'all love it too, man. That means I'm in the right room.
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate myself, and it definitely keeps. I think it's better for everybody else if I stay smoking weed.
Agreed.
I think it's a lot worse for everyone else if I'm not smoking weed.
Agreed.
I'm a much more relaxed and mellow person smoking weed.
Am I going to get shunned because I've never tried it?
No, absolutely not. There's plenty of stuff I've never tried that people have tried. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
That's true.
I've never tried getting held up at a nightclub and peeing on myself. So,
Well, I won't let that happen. Don't worry.
all right, man. Appreciate that.
That's embarrassing.
But I do like green because
I
you
just
know,
want to
money's
thank
green.
Melissa.
And
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it, Melissa. Thank you. I heard we're not supposed to do that, so I wanted to make sure I thank her right out the gate. So that way, you know,
She don't need any thanks.
Fuck her, right?
It's all good.
So Corey, why don't you tell us also? Let's switch it a little bit up to Disciples of Verity. How did you get involved with the other Corey?
I mean, it's actually like a pretty easy story, but it's a pretty goofy story. So ultimately, we had friends in common, and George Pond, who plays bass in Disciples of Verity, was kind of the facilitator of this in a very nefarious, sort of deceitful way. So basically, Glover wanted to do a project where he wanted to do something heavier. And a mutual friend, Smitty, connected him and George. And I had produced George's other band, Negative Sky. I produced their album. I was doing some other albums. I was busy producing a bunch of different records at the time. And he called me up and he said, hey, you know, would you come and help me finish writing these songs and produce this record? And I was kind of like, oh, you know, all right, okay. You know, so I went down there and did exactly that. And then when it was done, I kind of just wrote it off and forgot about it. And went back to the other 15 fucking things that I was already doing. And then, like, you know, a little while later, he hits me up and he's like, hey, do you think you could come in and record some drum tracks for those songs he did? And I was like, what songs? Like, I didn't know what he was talking about at this point. I had forgotten all about it. You know, I was already on to the fucking 8 other things I was doing. And he was like, you know, the songs you helped me write, that record you helped me produce. I was like, when are you supposed to go to the studio? He's like, oh, you know, like a couple weeks. I was like, what? So I literally after never playing the songs live ever, physically ever, I walked into the studio and just made up the parts on the spot and tracked the songs for the record. So that happened. And then I went home after that was done. And I thought it was over, apparently it was not. So a little more time comes by and he goes, "Hey, you going to come to the photo shoot?" I was like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? Photo shoot. And, he's like, "For the band." I was like, "What band?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I got there and then, Glover came up to me and he also said some real smooth shit. Cause he's one of those guys that can give you compliments where it sounds incredibly sincere, but it doesn't sound like ass kissing either. So you're just kind of like in a position where you don't know what to say other than thank you. You're just like, "Oh man, now I feel fucked up. Like, what am I going to say now?" So basically George tricked us into being a band is what happened. Nice. He used every means at his disposal to manipulate us and trick us into being into a band. And then once we had invested enough time and energy, he basically asked us to commit to it. He cheated. That's what happened.
He cheated.
100%.
He moved his chess pieces around and was like, "By the way, you do realize you're in this band, right?"
Oh, I mean, he pulled the old white money move. You know what I mean? Completely deceitful, but he benefited in the end. So,
thanks, George.
That's basically how it happened. It's basically how it happened.
Right on, bro. Steve, let's kick it down to you, buddy.
So, you mentioned all eclectic taste of music that you play and listen to. What was your first concert and what made you say, "That's what I want to do"?
My first concert, I believe, was Michael Jackson way back in the day, but that's not where I decided that I wanted to play music. I didn't really figure out about playing music until much later on. Like, I actually played piano. My mom plays piano and sings, so I did that first for like a few years. I took piano lessons for like 3 or 4 years, and then I started. A friend of mine from my family's church played bongos and drums in church, and I started playing like bongos and shit and playing a little bit of drums, and I just became fascinated with it. Like, I couldn't seem to shake it. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know, it just pulled me in for whatever reason. As far as knowing that's what I wanted to do, I don't think I really knew that until I was maybe like 12 or 13. I think it was like 12 or 13. And the first metal song that I ever really learned to play was Spill the Blood off South of Heaven. And it was like 1987, and that record had come out, and I heard Dave Lombardo play, and that's when it kind of like clicked for me. I was like, holy shit. I don't know how he's doing what he's doing, but I know I need to do it.
Great album.
And that was pretty much, the point for me. And then soon after that, I sort of discovered drum corps too, and that turned a big window for me. A lot of it too is just being in the right place at the right time. Like, when I was in high school, my band director was a drummer. He taught 2 drum corps. He was friends with a lot of drummers. We had a lot of guys that marched drum corps that taught us. Pat Petrillo, who's like a really famous drummer. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's done all kinds of things, including, done all kinds of 80 things, had connections with award shows, the Academy Awards, all kinds of shit. But he went to my high school. He used to come to, high school games sometimes, and you get to see him play. And it was kind of like, there's a lot of inspiration around me as far as drums are related. And I would just happen to be in the right time at the right place to have a lot of guys with a lot of talent around me who took an interest in me and sort of kind of kept pushing me because they saw whatever in me, which made me only practice more. Like, there was a point at which that's all I did. I practiced 10, 12 hours a day. Like, I didn't hang out with anybody really, nor did I really want to. And like, my parents sort of fell into it. they built an extension on one side of the house. I think I was like maybe 16, where they basically moved to the other side of the house and gave me the master bedroom because it had its own bedroom, and they just left me in the other side of the house so I could play drums. So they just like, all right, you be over there, we're gonna be over here. You know, when we see you, we see you. It's basically how it went. But
you should say that.
You know, later on, I guess, you know, my mother just, she thought it was good because she always knew where I was. You know, it's not like she couldn't hear me. So if I was in the house practicing drums, I wasn't out, you know, fucking up, essentially. And I loved it because it was like I had all this independence and nobody said shit, you know, like, you know, obviously there was points at which, like, you know, it was like, all right, it's 11 o'clock at night. You got to shut that fucking noise up. And then I would just like take a drum pad and be playing on my drum pad, watching TV till fucking 2 a.m. You know what I mean? But that went on for a good number of years. But, you know, that was kind of the point when I heard that album where I was kind of like, man, I want to fucking do that. And I, at the time, there was a guy named J.R. Thompson. He was an instructor at my high school, and he taught lessons at a very old music store that was, you know, 15 minutes from my house, called Gorney Music. And it was like this little tiny place, but it had been there for like, I forget, like 75 years or something like that. And I remember going in there, and Joe, he's like, oh, so, you know, what do you want to learn? And like, you know, obviously he knew me from teaching my high school drum line. I said, hey, you know, I want to learn this. He was like, oh, okay. You know, he was definitely one of those like 80s preppy dudes, you know, like kind of ripped diesel dude, had the white Reeboks with the Velcro on, like one of those hip bags and shit with like the muscle shirts cut off at the stomach. Like he looked like he could have been in Top Gun, like one of those type of dudes.
Fanny pack.
You know,
like
and it was like
the Brian Bosworth look, man, like the mesh shirt with the mullet and the muscles, the shades.
No, he didn't have a mullet. He was definitely more of like your preppy type kind of character.
Yeah,
but
he's a winner. Man. He's a winner.
He was like super clean white guy. You know what I mean? Like he only liked stuff that rocked, but didn't rock too hard. You know, kind of thing. And I'm sure me walking in there, you know, with Slayer, just totally fucked him up. Especially looking on it, you know, hindsight wise, it's like, man, if I could have been in his head, thinking what he must have thought at that time, like, here comes this black kid coming in here with this fucking Slayer record, and I'm sure he was all fucked up by the whole situation. He just didn't know what the hell to think. But you know, he sat there and helped me figure it out, and that's where it all started. Once I figured that out, it was over. You know, it was over. That was pretty much the catalyst for everything after that. You know, and
So
Dave Lombardo kind of jump started that.
Awesome. So we can thank you for that.
I've thanked him for that personally, and I'm sure as many drummers have. You know, I've also been fortunate enough to hang out with him a lot and gotten to know him over the years, and so. You know, obviously that's a great thing. Like you feel like things come full circle, so to speak.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Steve, stay with it, bro.
So you also did. So the first time I saw you, besides the Bird Show, I got to see you on Ozfest.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you guys did Ozfest, was that like Sharon happened to see you on somewhere like? You know, like how she pulled Zach out of Xyrus, out of New Jersey, and you know, because Zach sent a cassette. Or
I don't think it was really like that. I mean, basically, the way I remember it was, our manager at the time, Dave Ciencio, he managed us. He managed Shadows Fall. He worked with Thursday. But I just remember at the time, like we basically saw like. It was like right as we were doing Gone Forever. And we saw like basically everybody that we had come up with, you know, Lamb of God, Shadows Fall, Unearth, Devil Driver, all these bands that were, you know, Darkest Hour, Hatebreed were all doing Ozfest that year, and it was like, man, this seems like our time, and we got the offer to do it, but there were several parameters involved that kind of made it like, are we going to be able to do it? And it was just like, there were sacrifices that had to be made in order for that to happen, and we just agreed to them, in order to do that tour, which I don't regret it for 1 second, because it was really both in response and the camaraderie. It was a big telling in what the band had to offer and how many people liked what the band had to offer. Like, our days on Ozfest were great, and then our off days were like us, Hatebreed, Slayer, and Slipknot, or us, Slayer, and Slipknot. Those are our off day shows, because Slayer and Slipknot liked us and they wanted us to play off day shows. Hatebreed liked us, so they wanted to do us off day shows. So we're either playing in front of thousands of people a day on Ozfest, or we're playing small arenas every day with some of the biggest bands in the world, because they basically like the band. So, I mean, what's not to like about that situation? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing at all, for sure. Angel, let's kick it up to you, buddy.
Yeah, let me get to some fan questions. So Lisa wants to know, what other instruments do you play?
I play guitar. I play piano. At one time, I actually fucked around with harmonica because my grandfather played harmonica, but I don't really remember anything about playing that instrument. That was like, literally, it's probably over 30 years ago that I was trying to play harmonica. So I play a few things.
What do you prefer with your drum setup on playing? Do you prefer the 3 toms or the 2 with the double bass? What's your main preference when you're playing drums?
It doesn't. I don't really have it. I mean, in general, the less shit that I have to carry around, the better off I feel about it. But obviously, certain, every gig demands certain things. Like, God forbid, I had a very large kit, because that's basically what the music required. There's a lot of different styles and textures to that band. So it required me doing a lot of different things and needing a lot of different things in order to meet the demand of the music in the way that I felt was best suited. But, I'll easily go out with a fucking kick drum, a snare drum, and a hi-hat and rock that shit without any hesitation. I can guarantee you that.
Awesome. On one moment, we have the Queen.
What?
The Empress is back.
Hey,
so
brought friends.
This room is packed, huh?
That's right.
Hey, it's like you showed up and everybody wanted to join in.
That's all right.
I'm glad to.
I brought toys
to
in case anybody wants one.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
All right then.
That's definitely the way.
But I need another joint. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I might join him on that one.
Really? You're afraid
Nothing
of
wrong with how that dude
dildo?
rolls. There's nothing wrong with how that dude rolls.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's you. I'm a freak.
Sure.
Everybody has their things.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little butt plug every now and then.
I'm gonna kind of move, because speaking of grabbing, so I'm gonna grab some makers from a cabinet over here.
No, not a problem at all. So,
I have some more fan questions. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
All right, yeah, ask away. I can. It's gonna get dark for a second. Hold on.
Joan Chapman, what is your go-to music?
I'm sorry. What is my what?
What is your go-to music?
My go-to music? I'm not exactly sure what that means. My goal in music,
like what do you listen to primarily?
Yep.
Oh man, I got to tell you this. I'm all over the map, like literally. It just depends on my mood, honestly. There was a period of time where I pretty much just listened to movie soundtracks for like almost a year. I was so it was basically after. Sorry, I got to find the whiskey glasses.
That's all right.
I was it was probably like right after, God forbid, had broken up. And, on a personal note, it was kind of like a lot was going kind of getting fucked up in my life because like the girl I had been with, we just broke up like right after the band broke up. So it was like everything was kind of going shitty. And like we had been together for like 10 years. And then, obviously been in the band for longer than that, so I just kind of felt like everything was going shitty. And I was so disgusted. I was so disgusted with, just the world of music in general that I was kind of like, fuck this. And I didn't want to listen to anything, but for some reason I started to get into just movie soundtracks because I felt like, I don't know, it was a bit more atmospheric, and it allowed me to just like not think about anything. Like a lot of the music I listened to, it didn't have any words or anything. There wasn't anybody trying to give me some kind of message, or it wasn't about, some story to identify with or some other bullshit like that. It was just music, and in a certain light, kind of like in its purest form. It's kind of the reason I like a lot of classical music, because a lot of it's, obviously there's no words or anything. It's just literally the notes telling you a story, and you can interpret that however you personally feel like you're going to interpret it. I mean, I guess there's a lot of lyrics and shit you could do that with, but when it's not like, a set structure, like, all right, here's a verse, here's a chorus, here's a this, here's a that. And it's kind of more, sort of atmospheric and fluid, and it's open to more interpretation, I felt, than anything else. And it's kind of like I had gotten so disgusted with music as I was entrenched in it, that I needed something different to kind of get me over that hump of hatred, essentially. And I had a lot of anger. I was just very angry about the whole situation. And, you start to, I guess you kind of really, you sit around and then you start to think about all those things. Like, how come, the band wasn't more successful? How come, we're writing music that I feel is really, it's like of a whole different caliber. And all these people, are saying how good it is, but we're kind of stuck in this one area, and we can't seem to get over the hump, no matter how good the music is or what we seem to do. We're just trapped. You're just trapped there. And that ultimately, that lack of momentum ends up killing you on a personal level, on a business level, on a musical level, because you just it feels like quicksand. No matter how hard you struggle, it's not making any difference. It's just getting worse. And when that happens, it basically kills the morale of a band. It happens to a lot of bands, you know what I mean? Where you just feel like, all right, there's just, it's just like any other business. If you're not growing and moving forward, then you're getting smaller and you're dying, essentially. So, I guess there's no easy way to answer some of these questions for me, because
that's cool.
It's there's a lot of reasons for why I listen to what I listen to, and a lot of that is attached to what I've been through and what has happened to me. Just like anybody, I suppose, just in a different way, I guess, when you're a musician, especially when you're like a professional musician and you're working in the industry. There's things that, it's a different, and, I've worked with a lot of bands and younger bands and stuff like that. And I always try to tell them, like, listen, it takes a lot of sacrifice, and it is a lot of hard work, but also some of it's just straight up luck, and sometimes you have good luck. Sometimes you have bad luck. I mean, there's tons of bands that are, like I said, you be the most talented, best looking band in the world and still be trapped in a basement. It's just how shit went down. And then you see bands that you can't even understand how they're even a band or how anyone would even like anything that they do, and they're huge. And you go, why? Like, why the fuck does that happen? You know, what is the answer? And there's, on some levels, several quantifiable answers, whether it's a huge marketing team and management, like they have a whole team behind them that has the resources to push a band and make them successful, literally no matter what. You know, there are those acts and bands in the world where literally the team behind them is such that there is no way it's not going to achieve a certain amount of success. There's no, maybe it'll happen. It absolutely will happen because they will do everything in their power and they have the resources to ensure that. So, you know, if you're in that situation, then, you know, kudos. But, you know, most bands are definitely not in that situation. You basically go out there and try to write the best music you can that you love the most and try to make it mean something. And then, you know, either people are going to feel it, and maybe then you get a team behind you. And then, you know, all these things need to go the right way in order for something to be successful. And all it takes is one of those things not to go the right way, and then you're fucked. You know, it's just that simple. It's just like going into sports or anything like that. You know, everybody's not going to play in the NFL. You know, they're great in college. They put up excellent stats, and then they become a mailman, you know. It's just how shit was supposed to go. How do you explain it? I mean, shit just didn't go the right way. You know, was it one thing? Is it two things? I mean, many times it's just cumulative. You know, that's just the way that shit goes. And I felt like, God forbid, that was one of those things. It's like, it's not something you can quantify or, you know, whatever. It's just how shit went. But rambling on back to the original part of it. So yeah, I listen to a lot of different music, just depending on what mood I'm in and how I'm feeling that day or whatever. Kind of like Bono and his sunglasses. So
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's where it's at.
For sure, man. Absolutely. So real quick, Metal Summoners, we're actually going to get right back in with Corey. We're going to bring Bobby in a second as well. But we're actually going to take a small little intermission, and we're actually going to kick it down to Brad. As a lot of you know, with all the big announcements involving Masquerade, it's also been announced that myself and Steve have been brought on as MCs of the event, as well as the Metal Summit will be there live as well for all of your smiling faces and for everything there. So leading up to the building of the scene, the partnership that we have, and just getting everything out there, Brad is also making an appearance tonight as first of what will be a couple of appearances throughout the next few months, to talk about anything he wants to talk about involving Masquerade, anything he wants to talk about in general. And Brad, of course, you're more than welcome to talk to Corey as well about anything that you'd like to discuss with that as well. So Brad, we're actually going to kick it to you, man. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I want to say, you know, how much we appreciate, and, you know, this goes without saying, I'm saying this as a sponsor of you guys' show. You know, I've been a faithful of you guys and what you do ever since the start of the Metal Summit. You and I go back a little ways before that, but you know, we've become friends with everyone on the Metal Summit. You know, and a lot of your guests are people that we work with in the industry. So I just want to say, you know, I appreciate, you know, guys like the Metal Summit and some of the other podcasters out there that go the extra mile to keep, you know, everything relevant. Because everybody's a part of it, you know, from the venue owners to the supporters to the musicians to the venue, the promoters working at the venue, and the people keeping the ice cold. I mean, you know, everybody's a part of it. You know what I mean? And, you know, without the press, without photos and press and interviewers and that kind of thing, you know what I mean? You know, people would have to wait to see folks live before you see what people look at. Luckily, now we're at a point where we have instant gratification and we're able to see everybody's face ahead of time, you know, and make our decisions. But it didn't always used to be that way. So I'm appreciative of the way that things are developing right now, and the way that the industry operates. Everybody plays a very intricate role. So I want to make sure that we give thanks where it's due, and thank you guys for the role that you play first and foremost. Also, I'm not here just for announcements. I'm also here if anybody wants to hop on, sees that I'm going to be on, or wants to hop on and ask any questions for any guests that are, you know, involved with Masquerade or anybody from BLE that's on here. Even you guys as the Metal Summit are welcome to answer any questions that people will have. So for anybody watching or any supporters of the Metal Summit, know that you don't have to wait for me to get on here to ask questions to the Metal Summit about Masquerade. If it comes up in conversation or something of that sort, or we have an artist on that's discussing Masquerade, please, you're more than welcome to ask questions about it, because that's how we get the word out. So thank you for that. I wanted to make sure I let y'all know I appreciate it.
Hey, Brad, real
Bobby,
quick.
yeah, Bobby, you and I got to, when we end this, you and I got to talk about something.
Yeah, but real quick,
Nothing bad, but I need your help.
the things going on with the mask. Can you bring that up with
Yeah,
Philadelphia? Bringing that up?
That's a great question. Thank you, Rachel Ann. I appreciate that. So Rachel Ann from Houston, thank you. We'll see you there in Philly. I appreciate you and everything you do for us as well. Congratulations on the wedding. Rachel and her husband, Ryan, were just married last week in Vegas. So I want to give them a shout out. See that she's tuning in now. So congratulations on the wedding from everybody here. Bobby, I was there today on the outskirts of Philly with Jay. We went down to visit the hotel. The hotel is the Delta Marriott by the Philadelphia airport. That's going to be our host hotel that's hosting all the musicians and the after party ish events and that kind of thing. It's right on the outskirts, so you won't need masks there. Right now, you do need masks downtown. There is a mask mandate downtown for indoor facilities, and they're asking people to mask up. Again, we're 3 months away. If you tell me that 3 months from now they're going to need masks in the city of Philadelphia, I'm going to tell you that you're crazy. Here's the deal, though. We as a company have our own mandation rules that we follow. Here it is. We follow any state mandates. I myself and the way that I run my company is very pro-choice. I'm not going to, divide the business up and decide, okay, we're for masks or we're against masks. We're for pro-choice. If you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, nobody's going to haze you or make fun of you for wearing a mask. If you come there and you're vaccinated and you don't feel the need to wear a mask, we're not going to force you to wear a mask. If the government comes in and says, hey, everyone indoors must 100% be masked, then we're going to go with what the government says. So whatever those mandated laws are in the city of Philadelphia at the time of Masquerade, they will be followed and executed by us because we will be following the laws. We can't risk having the show shut down or having the venue fined or having people themselves get citations, whatever the case may be. We're always for following whatever the rules are and the laws of the establishment. It's my wife Angie making the guess. I was giving you a wave. So,
hey, Ange.
Hey. So yeah, I mean, long story short, I mean that's what it is. I think it's just, to be honest, I think it's kind of their numbers have risen a little bit there in Philly, and I also think it's a tactic for we're getting ready to hit prom time, we're getting ready to hit spring breaks. I think they also want to make sure that our youth is protecting themselves as well, because as you know, like and I don't want to stereotype by age thing, but the way that adults live their life and the way that adults follow the news and regulations are a little bit different than how some of the preteen and teenagers seem to follow things. So if they don't have their guardians watching over them to make sure they're doing right, they're not protecting themselves, and that's putting people vulnerable as well. So it's a everybody all together thing. Like we all have to work together to make sure that this time we don't get caught with our pants down like we did last time with no control over it. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in any sort of funny way, Bobby. So you know what I mean? I know when you say pants down, you go, but no, I don't want to. Yeah, see what's behind you, buddy.
What? I would never say anything funny.
So yeah, so I mean, like, honestly, say what you will, and I'm not going to get on a soapbox and make a long to do about it because people feel how they feel, and I don't want to divide the crowd or make people think I feel a certain way. Tomorrow morning, I'll be hated all over social media because I put something out on the Metal Summit that people didn't agree with. But let's face it, we all got fucked by COVID. You know what I mean? But there is also a little bit of silver lining, if I can say that without being judged. And I don't mean that to take light to anyone who has had sick relatives or lost people through COVID, because we've lost people as well. The way that I mean the silver lining is it kind of gives us a master reset to be able to kind of start fresh on a fresh slate and be able to kind of get a little creative with some of the things that we're doing from a music industry standpoint, especially a lot of things I've seen here in the Mid-Atlantic region, from like Jersey down to probably about Tennessee. I've seen a lot with, independent promoters such as myself. Like a lot of us are starting to band together and kind of, assist in helping some of the more independent artists. There's a lot of people here in the Maryland area, not just myself. You know what I mean? I don't speak for Maryland. Will Mass, a lot of these other independent promoters. Dave Dillman's in Vegas now, but he was keeping things together there for the M3 party before M3 and doing a lot of other shows. There's a lot of really good independent promoters out there that really give a shit about what they do and aren't just trying to be the rock star, which they're there just to alleviate some of the stress from the artists. Let the artists perform and create like they're supposed to. Everybody plays their role and carries the ball. That's why we have special teams, offense and defense. Everybody plays a different position on the field. Without your nose tackle, the quarterback don't mean shit. You know what I mean? So it's, it's that whole thing. Like you have to make sense of it all and do what you will, but we will never go against what the law says. If the law states to wear a mask or to mask up, then we mask up. You know what I mean? But I'm probably 90% sure that it's going to be a no mask masquerade because Jay knows as well as I know I have T-shirts ready to be sold that say no mask masquerade on the back. So hopefully we have a no mask masquerade, or we got a lot of shirts that end up in third world countries like fucking T-shirts. You know what I mean?
Would that be the Ubangi countries?
Right along with the ballroom blitz shirts.
Yeah, seriously.
With the three bands misspelled on the back that we won't talk about.
Yeah, right. So, Brad, why don't you real quick kind of brief everybody on tickets, like how they involve Ballroom Blitz and like how they involve currently Masquerade, and also kind of include like single days versus weekend if that's applicable.
It is, but man, that's a lot to go over. I'm trying to do the best I can with it.
Yeah, dude, pick your choice on that.
So honestly, so I have to go back a little bit, and I'm trying to speed this up as fast as I can. I know we got other people that need to have stuff they need to get out to, but so basically this is the third reschedule of the original show. So the original show was Ballroom Blitz. It was scheduled for 2020. We got hit with COVID, had to shut down. We rescheduled again for October. That didn't work out. So now we tried to move out to April 1st. The venue situation didn't work for that. So now here we are in July. So it's like the third or fourth reschedule. And there's been a lot of back and forth on social media and people going back and forth, about it. But fact of the matter is, I'm not going to put out a half-assed product with my name behind it. It just is what it is. For anybody that doesn't understand that concept, they're not a business owner. They're not going to understand it. You know what I mean? Yes, third time is a charm. Absolutely. Thank you. So, it needs to be, you know what I mean? And, we also, I'm not cocky enough to say, hey, you guys are going to wait until I'm ready to have this. I have to do my due diligence as a business owner and make sure I honor the commitments that we set forth. Therefore, everyone who bought tickets for the original reschedule, those tickets will be honored at this reschedule. If this thing got rescheduled 10 years from now, I'd still honor the tickets if I was still in business and those people still had hold of the tickets. We keep our sales records. We know who all bought tickets. We know what their credential level is and what levels they bought. So that's not an issue. I have a commitment to the artists that I already had under contract since Ballroom Blitz. As you know, a lot of them are returning. I feel every time a customer buys a ticket, they're under contract with me as well. And my contract to them is to make sure I uphold and give them the value of what they're purchasing. I'm not, I'm not Cox Internet. I'm not Comcast. I'm not out there trying to, rip people off and give them a subpar product and charge them the most. I'm trying to create value so that people still continue to come to these events. So anyone who purchases a ticket to Ballroom Blitz, those tickets will be honored at Masquerade. At Ballroom Blitz, we allowed one-day ticket sales. Right now, we're limiting one-day ticket sales in the beginning because obviously we want people to be there all 3 days. It's a 3-day mini fest with 28, 29 bands, something like that. I don't know. I'm losing count, to be honest with you. It's up around 30 bands. It's at least 28, somewhere between 28 and 30. It's like the NFL. I couldn't tell you how many teams there are. It's like somewhere between 30 and 32. I don't know. So, so it's that whole type of thing. So I want people to go to all three. Obviously, I don't want fucking, 2,000 in attendance on fucking Friday night. And then we got 400 in attendance on Saturday night. The talent, when I tell you that every musician on this bill, not every band, every musician, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to say you feel confident that all the bands are talented. That's one thing. I'm telling you, every musician, every artist in one of these bands, like all these bands are that tight, I feel, and that ready for this type of an event, that they're all prepared to deliver a phenomenal show. So when I'm realizing when you go to a show, a lot of people go and they want to just go late to support the headliners, or they want to go there and support their friend's band early and then they leave and don't even check out the headliners, whatever your case may be. I'm telling you that this is 3 days chock full of nothing but entertainment for 3 full days. And it's 10 bands a day, roughly. I think it's 8 on Thursday, 10 on Friday, and 10 on Saturday. And it equals out to be about $66 a day. Our GA for 3 days is $175. So that's roughly $6 a band. Like, it's not a money thing or anything like that. It's a value thing. Like, I want people to come out and enjoy an event and know that events can be done by independent promoters on their own budget and done successfully. I think that speaks volumes, because like we're so corporatized right now to where like a lot of the festivals are corporate festivals, and that's well and good. You know what I mean? They have a corporate budget to work with, but I think that we can't, just like we can't forget the independent artists out there, we can't forget the independent promoters and the independent venues and things like that. Like, everyone needs to work together. It's that whole thing. Like, you can't look at a band and go, hey, like, I don't know who that band is, I'm not going to see them. Every single piece of music you've ever heard in your life was an artist that you heard for the first time at some point in time in your life. And I think that people get so hooked up on the branding. Like, there's people that just wear Nikes. There's people that just wear Adidas. You know what I mean? You get hooked on that brand of, you're a Metallica guy and that's all you care about, or you're an 80s genre and that's all you care about. If it's not a big name, you don't want to hear about it or whatever. Like, all these bands, like every band that has ever recorded a song or a fucking lick of music has always all been a band that you heard for that first time. So I want people to get out here and support all bands. As far as one-day ticket sales, the one-day ticket sales in Ballroom Blitz, we did allow one-day ticket sales in the beginning. We kind of cut back on that a little bit. If you want one-day ticket sales, they are available. We're allowing a quantity of 50 per day at a time. So just like we're releasing the room blocks at 50 rooms a time, we're releasing these single day ticket sales at 50 tickets a day. So it's going to be 50 available for Thursday just to start out, 50 available for Friday, 50 available for Saturday. Once those sell out, if we see a need to open up more, we will. The same with VIP. Right now we are opening VIP with a ratio versus how many tickets are sold already. So we don't want to, sell 900 VIPs and only sell 1,000 tickets, and then 900 people are VIPs. What the fuck good is that? You know what I mean? Like, there's no exclusivity to that. So we want to keep the ratio probably to about 25%. So right now we're a quarter sold. We're at 500 sold right now, which we have 2,000 to sell. So we have about 1,500 more tickets. Good thing is, the only place we've promoted it so far is Facebook. We have a lot more promotion to do through local radio and things like that. So 2300 has been great working with us. That's the ticket site, 2300arena.com. If you're looking for a single day ticket, there's some on the BLE group. It's BLE Ticket Exchange. If you look on there, there's some tickets, some people looking to get rid of some VIP tickets that they can't make the rescheduled date, or even some one days are floating on there. But if you can't get access to that, you can call the venue directly or go online at 2300.com, and there are single day tickets available. Single day prices is $100 flat rate per day. So if you want to buy a single day, you can only make one day. It's $100 a day. That's still only $10 a band. If there are VIPs available that are left over that didn't sell as the 3-day VIPs, if you want to get there and you want to upgrade and go from a GA one day to a VIP one day, that's something that you'll be able to do at a guest concierge desk that we're going to have there. It'll be like an info booth. So you'll be able to go there and upgrade from your GA one day to a VIP one grade, assuming that they haven't sold out, that there are still VIPs available.
Very cool, for sure.
Andy, I'm down. Let me know. Anybody anybody's watching that knows podcasters or anything, like, I'm open to going on, or anybody needs contacts for any artists, playing Masquerade. Our job is to get the word out and everything like that. So, anybody that wants to help as far as promoters or podcasters or co-pros or anything like that, I'm always in for anything that makes sense from a business standpoint. If it helps both entities, it gets the word out, it gives you guys a guest, gives you guys content. In my side of things, I consider that to be a win-win. So I'm down for that, Candy. Just let me know. Did I miss any of that part of that question, or did I covered one days? I covered that whether tickets Ballroom Blitz. Was there any other part of that needed to be covered?
Not really for me, Brad. It was kind of like just kind of an open-ended thing because I know people, especially with a 2-year delay, as well as you can imagine. You know, sometimes when it comes to tickets, like what's available and things being honored, I know sometimes that can get a little jumbled. So it's just kind of one of those things where I wanted to, you know, to throw it out there as something that we could address to kind of like, you know, touch base on that because I know that people are still curious and kind of asking when it comes to like, you know, are tickets still available? And of course, absolutely they are for sure.
I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this now for the people watching. For those of you that don't know, excuse me, I'm sorry. You can also email the website at info@blerocks.com. If you have a question that we haven't answered, or is a little bit more of an elaborate question where it may take some consideration or some back and forth or whatever, you're welcome to email us to the website. There's a customer service email link. It's info@blerocks.com. Or I don't know how to do this, like I said, but everybody watching here is family. If you want to email me personally, I'm normally pretty good about getting back to my emails and some of my messengers on PM. I try and limit the messenger on the company messenger. But if you want to email me directly at Brad, BRAD, LEENT at Gmail, you can get that going there, and we'll answer anything that needs to be answered in a timely fashion as well as we can.
Absolutely, man, for sure. Angel, I'm going to kick it up to you, and then I'm going to put it down to Bobby and bring Corey back in. Have any questions come in for Brad?
Nope, everything has pretty much been
Yes!
answered.
I think
I cleared that up.
I think I saw one thing come in. I think Lisa wanted to know, is Masquerade still a dressed event? Like ballroom, like we were looking to do themes. I
haven't released that yet, but I will release it here. So that
exclusive.
Exclusive.
Yep.
So since you asked, I mean, so like this is what we're toying with, and we can take a vote right here on the Metal Summit. All right. So you tell me yes or no. Anybody that's listening can say yay or nay. Here's what I'm thinking. Thursday night is an artist showcase night, where it's just Michael Grant and Assassins is headlining, which is going to be fucking fantastic. I've got a couple little cool surprises with some bands that I didn't even announce that are like bands that we're possibly going to be working with in the future that I wanted to shed some light to. So this is a 2-stage event. There's a main room and there's a separate room. So at first I was like, how many different themes I want to go with? But to keep it short and simple, I think Thursday night I'm going to keep it as like a cocktail hour, like a greet the people that arrive early for Thursday and come in for Thursday, give some spotlight to some of the bands and some of the up and coming artists from that regional area. Of course, give some shine to the artists that are, you know, going to be doing business with BLE in the future. And then no theme for Thursday night, just like an artist showcase type thing. You know what I mean? Very casual. For Friday night, I kind of want it to be Skull Night. Now that's open to interpretation. But what I envisioned when I thought about Skull Night, so we were originally going to do it around Halloween time. So I'm like, I you know, me and obviously Jay, you know, you're a huge Halloween buff too. If Halloween was every day, I'd be perfectly content with that. You know what I mean? So any chance to fucking play dress up or fucking have Halloween, like I'm fucking all for it. So I want Friday to be Skull Night. And so like that can be regular skulls. You can paint your face however you want. Like your skull is your skull. You know what I mean? Like do it however you want. If you want it to be more sugar skull and less horrific, that's fine too. If you want to go movie quality fucking skull, do it. You know what I mean? If you want to go Grim Reaper out, whatever you want to do, you want to wear a mask, I don't care. But like skull theme is the theme. And how I thought about that is like, okay, the artist from the stage, imagine looking out at the fucking crowd and you don't know who anybody is. All you see is a bunch of skulls looking back at you. Like that's some crazy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could be your biggest fan or it could be somebody seeing you for the first time. You don't fucking know. You just see 2,000 fucking skulls with their hands in the air. Like to me, that's kind of fucking cool. You know, and regardless of whether it's fucking 100 skulls or 2,000 skulls, it's gonna rock just as hard, like in my opinion. So I think Skull Night on Friday, right? And then on Saturday night, do like a come dress as your favorite 80s musician or 80s celebrity and make it like an 80s prom type event. You know, like a prom thing, like an 80s, like, you know, whatever. At first we were going to do, since it was close to Halloween, of course, we were going to do the Night of the Living Dead and like, you know, that stuff, like horrific or whatever. Make it like as Halloween as possible. But now I'm like, okay, let's make something that's kind of fan friendly, but at the same time, people that want to get creative can. for those of you in the Philadelphia area or in that market, you kind of know, right down the street from the 2300 Arena, like 2 blocks away, is a store called Masquerade that they sell, movie quality Masquerade costumes. So anybody,
I've been to that store. It's
anybody wants crazy, you can get as crazy as you want. It's like a year-round
or
party.
as freaky as you want.
Exactly. So, I'm not putting guidelines to this. It is an all ages show, so keep in mind, like, if you want to come all, skull face with like your shit up to your chin, keep in mind there might be a 5-year-old rocking out next to you. But I'm not going to tell anybody how to dress or how to carry themselves. You know what I mean? Come how you feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Same thing with the masking. Come how you feel comfortable. The literal mask and the figurative mask.
100% for sure. Fans, Metal Summoners, you guys can definitely keep the questions coming in all episode. We'll steer it back. We'll bring Brad back in at the very end of the episode as well, depending on how his schedule shapes up. But we do want to steer this back to Corey and everything that he's got going on. But Bobby, let's bring you back in as well, my good dude. Great to see you again, and let's get us back on track.
All right. So, Corey, I got to tickle your fancy right now. How the hell did you and Corey Glover hook up?
Oh, I think you missed that, man. We just went over that shit like 10 minutes ago. Well, actually,
then I'm
it was probably like
white or black
40
chicks?
minutes ago.
It's all good. Keep rolling with it, Bobby.
Okay, here's how it happened. We had a mutual friend, George, and he tricked us into being into a band together. That is the summation of the story.
It's true.
He used lies and deceit to bring us into a band together.
Damn you, George Pond.
Yeah, so I'm good friends with Corey. Corey's got a son. My partner has epilepsy. Corey's son has epilepsy, and it's a lot of things there, which is really cool. But I love that you're working with Corey. But I'm going to go with my second question: white or black chicks?
What's that? What'd you say? White or black chicks?
This person was awesome. You gotta do that again, man. That was
What'd you say? What'd you say? White or black chicks?
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally been all over the world, so I've sampled it all.
Yes.
White, black, tan, red skin, beige. I've had all of that. So
I'm only asking because I'm the fabulous audience. So I
see, you're asking the wrong question. See, I like hot chicks. That's the difference. Yes. Hot chicks are ugly chicks. I like hot chicks.
I didn't know if it was the if everybody went with the whole thing, the darker the berry, the bigger. Because mine thing is about feet. I'm like, dude, it's not about feet.
See, that's disgusting.
If they got disgusting feet, I'm out. I jumped out the window once.
I'm not into anyone's feet, period.
I wasn't talking about feet. I'm just talking about the length of the feet. Wink, wink.
Yeah,
There's those segments of the Metal Summit that we've
Now you
missed.
see why I went and got another joint.
I might have to go get one with you.
Hey, Brad, it is 420. You're allowed to indulge today.
Might look like the dumbest guy in the room, but right now I'm the smartest.
That's why we love you.
I love you back.
And Bobby, keep rolling with it again, man.
No, so the whole thing. So you put the band together, and like you were, I don't want to say you were bitching about. I didn't make it. You sounded like an 80s guy on the strip. I didn't make it because of this. So I
actually said that. I actually said the opposite of that.
No, but
I said there's no way to quantify that, and I didn't really feel bad about it. I was just angry at the music industry in general because my band broke up, and then my relationship of 10 years broke up. Yeah, so it really didn't have anything to do with making it or not making it. As far as making it, I mean, how much more can on a certain level? I went all around the world and sold 1,000 upon 1,000 records. I played with every metal band that exists. I mean, that's kind of making it. So I mean, it's just not making it to the point that I didn't, maybe would have liked to. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like I didn't have a. It's not like I didn't enjoy my career.
You don't suck to have Corey Glover playing with you. So I got to give you a kudos there because, dude, if he thinks he wouldn't have done shit with you if he didn't feel like you were worthy enough. So, kudos there, man. I think that's, what great compliment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really think about it like that. I mean, I think like other dudes in the band kind of felt that way, but my relationship with Corey is like different. Like we just bust balls all the time. I talk shit to Corey all the time.
Yeah, but if you're not a good look, Corey's a musician. It's great you have a great side thing, but if you sucked, dude, he's not gonna fucking put his name on shit. So you got to give yourself credit there.
Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought about it like that.
I mean, you think
I always assumed
nod from fucking Mick Jagger. That's how he got his thing. So you think about it, you got the emperor of fucking rock and roll. And for Corey to go on with you, look, I mean, Wimbush, the whole thing there, just great team of guys. So it says a lot about yourself. Don't fucking count yourself short, dude.
I don't think I ever did.
That's what I'm saying about you with the whole music scene. Maybe it's the people you're around that didn't appreciate your talent.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know if there's any way to truly quantify that. It could have been any number of things. And it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. If everything doesn't go right, then that's usually what it takes to really excel in this industry. You need to have everything pretty much go right. Well, at some point or another.
We can go back a couple weeks back. If you look at Dave Grohl, the way he started out, same thing as yourself. You're a Jersey guy. Dave from DC. He surrounded himself and he started looking at the whole thing. Look, he didn't want to be Nirvana, but he really built his army. And maybe that's, you kind of got to kick the naysayers and the coattail riders off your ass and just go, fuck you. I'm a little bit higher than this. And take your value. Look, if Corey's looking at you, take that and go, look, my value's here. If Corey's looking at me and you're not going up to this level, get the fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I ever really interpreted things that way. For me, it was just kind of the point where I was in a band for a long time and it did achieve some success, more than a lot of bands. And then when that band was over, I kind of was over being in a band, period. And it's not that I stopped playing music. I still played music and I started producing bands and started to expand other things that I wanted to do within music. But it wasn't like a sense of, who values me or who doesn't value me. It was more of an internal thing, which was kind of like, really, what do I want to do with myself? It wasn't about who valued me or who was a hanger-on or who thought this about me or didn't think this about me. It was more kind of like, well, what do I really want to do? And it got to a point where I kind of made my peace with not being in a band, and there was other things that I wanted to do, which were related to music and being in music, but weren't about being in a band per se. And then, with the Glover thing, it just sort of escalated how it did, kind of Mr. Magoo style. And, I just sort of roll with it and you make the best of it, make it kind of what you want it to be. And if it starts to suck, then, obviously you'd be out. But everybody's cool and it's generally like a positive vibe. Obviously there's always going to be some confrontation as a fucking band. So, when you're writing stuff and creating, you're going to have some arguments and confrontation and shit. But without that, you're probably not going to make the best possible music. If everybody's, just sort of a yes man, that shit turns corny. And
well,
it usually makes
none of us are getting fucking younger. Look, I'll be 58. Brad will be 23, but
I wish. I don't even remember.
but
20.
where do you see yourself in 10 years? Look, we've had Kenny Arnoff on, and what a motherfucker. What a great, but you as a drummer are the fucking heartbeat of the band. A lot of people don't look at that, but where do you see yourself as that? Do you see yourself as in a band, or do you see yourself as being,
I really could see myself in various ways. I could be in a band. I could be producing more music and producing more bands because I enjoy both, but I've definitely always enjoyed more of the creative and writing side and all of that more than actually playing live, I guess. I mean, playing live is fun, but I always kind of like felt more connected to just the process, I guess, more than anything else. So really, it's not that I see myself being in a band or not being in a band. I think it's something that I guess some people feel that way. They're like, I am going to be in the band, like that's how it's going to be. I'm okay with either. So it's kind of like, if I'm feeling that and the right opportunity is there, then that's what I'll be doing. If I'm not feeling that and the opportunity doesn't feel good, then I'm not going to do it because I know I have other outlets and ways to sort of do what I enjoy doing without being in a band. So if I happen to be in a band, that's cool. And if I'm not, Corey's going to be okay.
Cool. The last thing before I throw it back to Jay, what do you want people to remember you? And look, like I said, we're all getting older. What do you want them to know you for? And look, we just lost Taylor and everything. Everybody needs a legacy. What do you want people to know you for?
I would say more than anything, probably my comedy, my personality. I think it's the one thing that is most fans know me because I've never been the kind of like, I'm not like a rock star type of dude. I'm I hang out with everybody type of dude. So like people always would say like, oh man, you would come out. Like I would go out and hang out with people in the parking lot, and bullshit with them at their cars and, whatever. And just drink beers and shit like that. And like, I think that's the thing that most people really remember about me as me being kind of like somebody that's personable and funny and somebody they like to hang out with. Cause that's pretty much like, I'm not trying to elevate myself over anybody or, talk or appear like I'm better than anybody. Like, I feel like there's too many people that do that. And even a lot of people that say they don't do that in this industry, and really they do, and then they try to pretend like they're not doing it. And I feel like that's it's just a shitty way to be. And obviously, it's one of those things where it's like, fame starts to touch people and it's like they say it's like the worst drug. And I truly believe that because obviously there's a lot of people that are fans of people kissing your ass all the time. And like, as that fame starts to dwindle, you can see like their appreciation of themselves dwindles with it. So they have to like find some new way to be more, more connected and more relevant. And obviously in any part of the entertainment industry, being relevant is like a part of the job. But I feel like when you're living for that's your priority, is to be famous so that you can like be looked up at and be, sort of like have your ass kissed and be worshiped, or so you're in a position so that you can like be above other people and look down on them because that's what makes you feel good. That's not the type of person that I ever wanted to be. So, it's not the person that I would ever want to be remembered for. Like, I would rather be remembered for a person that was just a cool person to be around. That was, funny, entertaining, was, generally a fucking cool dude. The other shit is kind of like, I don't know. I never really had the initiative, I guess, or the self-loathing to like be like, I need to fucking be famous and have people kiss my ass so I feel good all the time. You know, like, and I know plenty of people like that. I also know plenty of people that like who are famous, and you definitely notice, like, obviously fame is going to change people, your perception changes, but you notice little things about how they act. You know, like I can tell different things about, you know, people that I've known for 2 decades, and you notice those differences. Like, not all of it's in a bad way, but some of it's like, it's those like hints of being like kind of shitty, and that's kind of almost worse. Like, I'd almost prefer you being straight up shitty. At least we know what you're about. You know what I mean? But then there's those people, it's like, you know, they make those little comments and those little like passive aggressive statements where it's like, you know, you could tell they're being pretentious and shitty, but they don't want to commit to it because they don't want to be judged on it either. And they also want to be in a position to claim deniability. Like, I'm not that way, but really you are that way. You know, and that shit's corny. Like, I'm not.
Look,
really
I'm going to bring it up to you, and I brought it up earlier. If Corey didn't think you were genuine, he wouldn't have done shit with you. And that was the coolest thing that I've. The first time I met him, you know, I felt like a star fucker. But then it was like when I got to meet Corey, I'm going, wait a second. He talked about his son and every barriers went down. And like you said, it's the hang thing. So if he didn't think you were genuine, he wouldn't have had a fucking thing to do with you, dude. So I love where your head's at.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty down to earth dude. I'm sure that he has his moments where there's certain things he doesn't want to be bothered with because it's just fucking annoying. And I've seen some of that, and I'm like, you know what? You have every right to be annoyed. But as far as, I mean, his interactions in general, and I know definitely with me, I feel like I'll say anything, you know, there's really no like barrier between me and him and what we say to each other. It's just, I talk to him like a normal motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
but he knows who you are, and which is great. That's why I really
he'll text me and be like, yo, what's up? What's up, motherfucker? And I'll be like, yo, what's up, motherfucker? You know, like, just how it is. But I mean, I feel like just generally, like, he's a pretty sincere cat. Like, he's not trying to, you know, put on any airs and trying to make people believe he's something he's not. But I also feel like he's confident enough in himself and what he does, so where he doesn't have to do that. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm fucking Corey, blah, 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 blah. Like, he doesn't really need to do that. I mean, he's like, why do I need to do that? You know, you either respect what I do or you don't. And if you don't, well, fuck off. And I'm going to hang out with the people that do. So, I mean, which I totally get that, you know. So I think when you're generally like, you're like a sincere person, or you're just like a cool, like I said, just like a cool dude, then people will naturally gravitate towards you. And then the people that, you know, want to make shit up or whatever, they'll naturally phase themselves out. It's not something that you have to even put your mind to. They'll do it on their own. So
look, I'm going to throw this out. I got 3 guys on here and a wannabe Brad Lee, who I've met.
Who else you know wears their own T-shirt?
For 2 years we've been doing this shit. I'm telling you, we've been doing this thing, and the fucked up thing is, the 4 of us we are like the fucked up monkeys. We shouldn't be together, but we are, and it is the reason why we're like a roller coaster. We go up, down, in between, in and out, through dark tunnels. Wink, wink. But you know, good, bad, whatever. But people know when you're sincere. And look, you know. So keep doing what you're doing, brother. Like I said, Corey wouldn't have hung with you if he didn't think you were the real deal. So thank you.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess I agree with that.
Absolutely.
You know, 100%. I never really thought about it like that. I never really kind of thought like, what does Corey think of me? I never thought about it like that.
Look from the outside in. That's why you have people like us.
Absolutely.
to think about things that I don't think about for me.
It's a fucked up white guy who's got dildos sitting here, you know.
Well, on that note, fans, it is last call for alcohol. We're going to spin it around the table one more time and allow everybody to get on with their evenings. We're going to kick it up to Psycho Steve, but it is last call for alcohol, guys. Any final questions for Corey? Anything that you want to ask Brad involving BLE or Masquerade, you have that option to do it as well. But this is your last chance for questions. So, Psycho Steve, take it away, bro.
So, the concert coming up in September, is this just a one-off, or could we expect more?
Well, hopefully you can expect more. We're kind of talking about it and trying to work things out to figure out how much we can actually do. Dudes have, we're all grown men with different responsibilities. Obviously, Doc has another very successful band and other projects he's involved in. We've been talking about the other band that I'm in. I'm involved with the cannabis business out in California and Vegas. So I'm always busy. I'm managing another band. So
what's the name of the band?
Dissensions. They're from Pennsylvania. They're young guys, but I just actually produced their full-length album, and it's starting to get a lot of attention now, and I'm sure eventually you'll be seeing a lot more of them. Super talented guys. They're still very young, but I've been working with them for probably 3 or 4 years now, and they're starting to come into their own a little bit and getting a lot more looks and a lot more interest, and just a lot that I think they have a big future because they're humble guys and they're willing to work. So that's always a good thing. But plus Byron's got a son, John's got a daughter. They both Byron does HVAC work. John works with fucking factory robots and shit, he deals with robotics, and so dudes have responsibilities. Is my point. And so when that happens, we're also geographically about as far away from each other as humanly possible right now. So it's basically just about sort of structuring time. We've got more offers, and we're definitely really interested because there's so much sort of fan appreciation going on, and it makes you say well, in order to do one show, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation involved as far as travel and rehearsals and setting time to do all kinds of things and merchandise, do all kinds of things that you need to do to prep for a show, especially of that magnitude, to where it's that's a whole lot of work to just do one show, but obviously, like I said, everybody's got different grown-up responsibilities, so you have to figure out, okay, if we want to do other things, how are we going to do it, and how are we going to do it so it's not fucking people's lives up, or stepping on other things that are already scheduled with other projects or things like that, so that it all kind of goes smoothly and you give the fans what they want without making a total shit show of your life. So prepare, the idea is that, yes, we would like to do more stuff. It's just figuring out how the fuck to do it is an enterprise, to say the least. So your guess is as good as mine, but hopefully it will happen.
Just to bounce off of Steve's question, is it logically possible, as far as distance, for God forbid, to do a residency somewhere, just to kind of have one spot where you guys actually play shows there and fans comes to you, kind of like a Vegas thing, but elsewhere?
No, not geographically, no, because Byron lives in El Paso, which is basically fucking Mexico. Doc is in LA. I'm the last dude in Jersey, and then John is in Pennsylvania. So pretty soon I'm actually moving out west to California, but I'll be doing a little bit of back and forth, obviously, with DOV stuff going on. But geographically, it's just impossible. So right now, we've actually been, Doc is flying out to do some rehearsals. We're going to do some stuff out here, and then I'm going to do some stuff on the West Coast with him and the other guitarists that we're getting to do the festival. So, it's just figuring shit out. And it's a lot of work to figure all this shit out. Like for years, everyone's like, oh man, when you guys gonna do a reunion show? It's like, do you understand how it's like we don't just meet up and do this shit? it's fucking hard, man. It's a lot of work. And I mean, too, it's like a lot of the stuff, even from a playing aspect, it's not as physically aggressive as playing God Forbid stuff. So I've recently just been doing like a bunch of double bass training and like doing old practice routines, stuff like that, to just make sure that, like when I go to do a God Forbid show, that I can deliver it with a certain amount of energy. And, because I don't want to not play that stuff at like 150% the way we always did, like it needs to be at a certain level in order to come off a certain way. So, but it's a lot different than, sometimes I'm doing studio gigs, I'm doing like little gospel gigs or hip hop gigs. It's not nearly physical. It's physically demanding is playing, 6-minute God Forbid songs. It's a little bit more difficult. So, it's something you need to prepare for, and it takes time. And then you have to get into sync with the other dudes in the band and creating that certain, connective energy. It doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, we played together for a long time, so that when you get back together, you want it to be at a certain level. You want things to sound a certain way. You want to have command over what you're doing, so that when you go out and play it for fans, they're excited and not disappointed by the sham of a show that you're putting on. You want it to be fucking legit. So, it's not an overnight thing. It takes a lot of time, a lot of hours of practice, and a lot of discussions, a lot of conversations. Like we're doing all kinds of singing calls, and it's fucking ridiculous. How much work it actually takes to make something like this happen in these circumstances. So, we're doing our best to try to give fans what they want and just make it fun for us, because we don't want to destroy ourselves mentally either. Trying to do things, we want it to be fun and do it because we want to do it and enjoy doing it. I want to make it like a fucking torturous experience to where it's like, oh man, I gotta do this now. I gotta fucking do this and this and this and this. Like nobody wants to feel that way. That sucks. So absolutely. There it is.
Awesome.
Absolutely, Corey. Just
you.
a couple more questions we'll hit you with, and we'll let you get on with your evening. There was a question that I wanted to ask you with, and I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit more of a personal question, if you're down, because I just think it's kind of an important and interesting topic for us to cover on a show like this. Is like, for somebody like yourself, being a person of color who's playing heavy metal music, and you've got like all these other amazing bands, a lot of stuff that I listen to, like I'm into Body Count, and I've been into Seven Dust forever with Lejean, and living down in Maryland, you've got the Bad Brains out of like DC. How have you just kind of seen like the evolution of like, POCs in the heavy metal genre?
I mean, I definitely think that it's become sort of more commonplace now than when we started, because I can tell you that when we were first playing shows, and whether they were hardcore shows, which a lot of people will tell you that the hardcore scene is kind of a more initially accepting scene of sort of people of multicultural background, than the metal scene, which has been a predominantly white guy sort of dominated scene. But obviously there were certain exceptions, but they were just that, where they were like very specific and low in number exceptions in the metal scene as a whole. You see like one dude here or there occasionally, where definitely now there's a lot more there's a lot more musicians of color and of different descent, and whether it's Latin or Black or whatever, multicultural descent in the scene. But on the opposite side of the coin, I would have to say there were also a lot of bands which I felt, and this is strictly from a sort of metal musician snobbery sort of concept, where there was bands that were multicultural that were just not good. They were claiming to be metal bands or thrash bands or whatever, and they were nothing like that. They're just garbage. So that didn't help the situation either. It just makes them a joke, and then it makes people who are of color trying to do heavy music, people just automatically assume it's going to be some goofy shit. So then you have to, obviously have bands that come out and then defeat those stereotypes. Like every band full of black dudes that's in metal is not going to be a rap metal band. It's not going to sound like the first Body Count album. Shit, Body Count don't sound like the first Body Count album now.
Yeah, it's true.
Body Count now sounds like Slayer.
Yeah.
So you basically feel the same way that every white guy feels about Vanilla Ice, because I got called that my whole life in high school. I went to a predominantly non-white high school, and I'm getting called Vanilla Ice my whole time because I listened to hip hop at the time. Like, I listened to everything, but at the time I was listening to a lot of hip hop because, let's face it, fucking late 80s, early 90s hip hop is fucking awesome. And this fucking Vanilla Ice guy comes through and fucking ruins it for all of us. You know what I mean? So like, it's the same way until Eminem.
Well, then but then you had Eminem came through and redeemed you. So
He saved us. Thank God. Thank God. And I grew up in a trailer park, and he's a trailer park.
And you had Anthony from E-Town. He helped out. You know what I mean? He helped out a lot of white guys, at least in the tri-state area, as far as all that goes. But I definitely feel like there's more guys of multicultural background playing metal and heavy music. I think that's great. Like when we started, I felt like there was a lot less of them. And the fact that there are more, and not just that they're there, but they're playing at a certain level and with a certain amount of musical integrity is really the more important thing to me, other than them just being there and being black or brown or tan or whatever the fuck, I'm more happy about the fact that they're there in those things, but they're just good. I respect that more than just being there. Because I'll be real with you, the first Body Count album, I did not like that shit. I equally thought, like, I'm just not into this. Like, it's cool that Ice-T is in a band and it's playing with, and there's guitars and stuff, but I didn't particularly like the record. And then I saw, like, to me, I saw these white people that liked the record. I was like, why do you like it? You like it because Ice-T's in it and he's talking about killing cops and shit. And that's why you like it, because Ice-T's being Ice-T, but it's making it okay because there's guitars there. You know what I mean? Like, I felt it was more like that than actually people really liked it, like respected it, liked it. And then over time, they earned that musical respect as a band, which I'm more in favor of than just, hey man, that dude's black in the band, I'm just happy he's here. You know what I mean? Fuck that shit. I think that if you're going to do this, it's just like, and a lot of people say this as far as, black and brown people in a lot of different areas of life, you have to be better than the status quo in order to get less respect. You know what I mean? So don't come out there half-ass claiming to be a metal band and your shit sounds like 311. You know what I mean? Don't make those kind of statements, because that shit is goofy and you're just making it worse for other dudes that are trying to come out and do shit. You know what I mean? That's embarrassing. And I mean, we got hit with the full gambit, especially if you call, God forbid, people like, oh, are you guys like a reggae metal band or, ska metal? Or, are you some kind of gospel? Like all the fucking stupid, ignorant shit that people can say, because they immediately equate being black and you say you're a metal band. They immediately go, is it a reggae metal band? Is it a rap metal band? And we are clearly none of those things.
Right. Yes.
But I felt like we were one of the bands that was predominantly, Brown, and we were like a legit metal band. It wasn't no rapping, it wasn't no reggae going on. It wasn't nobody dropping 808s in the middle of the fucking songs and none of that shit, because that was not what we were about. We were first and foremost fans of metal.
Yeah.
So we want to make quality metal records. And it just so happened to be that predominantly it was made by a bunch of dudes that were not white.
Right.
So a little words of wisdom for anybody of color that's out to play in a metal band: make your shit quality. Don't make it harder on other dudes by coming out with some jokey ass shit that's embarrassing for dudes, because you just make it harder on other people. But I do feel like we definitely were kind of like a little bit of the Sammy Davis Jr. role, where we kind of went out and got our uniforms dirty, and it made it easier for some other people. And I've literally had dudes come up to me and tell me that they felt more comfortable and they felt like it was okay, to love metal and be a metal fan and play metal music because we were doing it. So, I mean, I think that's cool. But like I said, the more important thing is make music with some integrity and be for real about it. Don't come out some goofy shit. You know what I mean? If you have any thoughts like, hey man, I want to put out this, goofy shit, just stop it. Just don't make it worse for other dudes of color.
No, absolutely.
Be for real with your shit.
100%, brother. Definitely. And we appreciate you so much for that, man. Bobby, let's get a final question from you before we see if any fan questions popped in.
So where can we catch you at locally lately? What's the next? I know you got the gig in September, but is there anything else going on?
Right now, we're actually finishing writing the new DOV record, and I'm about to go do drum tracking for that. So right now in the interim, that's pretty much, my primary focus, other than practicing God forbid stuff, which requires a lot of me just doing shit by myself on my own time. And then I have a couple of rehearsals with John and Doc in New Jersey at the end of this month. And then, so, I mean, as far as seeing live shows of that caliber, anywhere for a while, it won't be for a little bit, because there's a lot of, like I said, there's recording stuff going on. And then,
so you won't even go out and sneak and just play with a cover band and go in and go, hey, motherfucker, I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but
you won't go out and jump on somebody's band?
I mean, I won't be playing out live anywhere for a little bit, other than rehearsals and shit. Because
you won't give them just the tip.
Well, I mean, I like to just be prepared. If I'm gonna fuck, I'm just gonna fuck.
Yeah. Sports package or nothing, man. Ain't no basic cable in this house. Like, me and my wife talk about that shit all the time, and we don't. Neither one of us mind saying it. Sports package, baby. We don't. No second best, no basic, no like 3 different platinum, premium, exclusive, none of that shit. Sports package, ultimate package, nothing. That's it.
Yeah.
You mean
look, I just wanted to throw it out there, because it'd be that thing. I'd be walking in one night and seeing you fucking behind the kid at Freddy's or whatever. And
I mean, that occasionally does happen, but it's usually some situation where I get talked into it because I just happen to be at the bar.
Yeah.
But that's, it does happen on occasion. It has happened on occasion. What bars
do you hang out in? We all want to know.
I mean, I do hang out at Dingbats and Dingoes a lot because I'm literally right here. Like,
the stripper bars don't have fucking drum kits.
I don't hang out at strip bars, man. I get laid, so I don't really need to do that.
We all need to relieve every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I relieve. I get laid. You don't need to go to the titty bar if you're already getting financed.
Yeah, Tony. No,
Angel is hating life right now because he knows it's his turn, and this always happens to him. So, Angel, we do have to put a bow on this episode soon. So let me kick it up to you, bud, for any final fan questions before I let Corey and Brad plug their shit.
Just 2 more questions. I was going to get to it really fast.
Put it back, Bobby.
Jesus.
Unplugged.
That didn't just come out of you, did it?
Pulled it out clean.
Angel, keep it together, bud. I need you to do this segment.
From butt unplugs to a question: what is your dream project? Like, if you could be like in any project, that would be your dream project. Like, you would jump at the chance tomorrow if somebody called you and say, "Hey, can you do this project?"
That literally exists, or is this like we can go like imaginary, like dead people?
We can go imaginary, wherever you want to go.
I mean, obviously, my dream project would be to be in Pantera. That would be my dream project. But obviously, that's never, ever going to happen. And whatever. It would be that, or it would be to play with James Brown or Prince.
Nice.
Or to play in maybe like the Philharmonic, to do classical percussion in the Philharmonic.
Nice.
One of those four things would be, those are like probably my top dream gigs.
And the last question, what gear do you use on your drums, and what drumsticks do you use?
I use Vic Firth because literally I've been endorsed by them for over 20 years. And a guy by the name of Marco Ciccoli, who used to work for Vic Firth, who like basically every drummer in the universe, he knows like every drummer that exists. He's been around for so long. Hooked me up when basically nobody really gave a shit. As far as other stuff, like I use Evans drum heads. It's another situation where, you know, they took a risk on me, you know, obviously hooking me up with an endorsement when nobody gave a shit. Drum companies, I've used a bunch of different stuff. There's a lot of stuff I like because as a drummer, you're just like, it's like being, you know, a collector of anything. Like, I like so many different types of drums, from antique stuff to, you know, to current stuff. But I've been endorsed by Premier. I'm presently endorsed by D-Drum. I, you know, worked with Gibraltar, Minor Cymbals. I play a lot of Zildjian stuff. I've also been offered some stuff from Pasty, which I like a lot of their products too. And I'm friends. I've also been around, so I'm friends with a lot of guys from a lot of companies. So I'm always trying new products and trying different stuff that comes out. And I'm also friends with a lot of drummers that are endorsed by a lot of different companies. So like we have this thing called Drum Camp. It's like me and Jason Bittner from Overkill, Shadows Fall, and Matty Byrne from Hatebreed. Brian Sings did Battlecross. We got together. We've been talking about doing this again. And then like Roy Maharga wanted to jump in, some other people, Ken Schultz from Candiria. And we get together and just jam, play different drum sets, and kind of rotate around a room and videotape each other and talk shit all day, pretty much. Nice. And barbecue a little bit too, which is always fun. So, but so it gives you the opportunity to just kind of play a lot of different stuff. And, you know, we're all like super crackheads about gear. So it's like, oh, I got fucking 25 snares. Like I've literally got a piece of every drum set I've ever owned since I was like 13. You know, I don't have every bit of everyone because I would have to have two houses just to store all that shit. But I got little bits of everything that I've accumulated over the years. And I like so much stuff that, you know, you're always like, I don't know, just kind of like, oh man, you know, you go through phases and the way you play and how your body reacts. And especially the more different types of things that you're doing. Like I do a lot of fill-in work in studios, which requires different equipment and different tones than when you're doing metal stuff. And even heavy stuff, it's like playing heavy DOV stuff requires a different tone than playing God forbid stuff and doing Slayer stuff or whatever. You know, it's a different type of sound altogether. So you have to get what you need accordingly. I've been fortunate enough to do so many different things that I'm pretty well acquainted with so many different types of percussion instruments and tones that I've learned a lot about how to achieve what I want for pretty much any gig. So I play a lot of different shit just because I feel like it's fun to play, you know. Sure. But those are the companies I'm endorsed by. So go out and buy some Vic First drumsticks, buy some Evans drum heads, buy some D drum drums, and a bunch of other stuff, Zildjian stuff and Pacey stuff. Go out and buy all that stuff. Because, you just buy what you like. Because honestly, I feel like I've been especially lucky because no matter what company you're with, when you can kind of sort of handpick the different things that a company makes, you always find stuff that you like that's particular to that company, So go out and experiment, play different shit. That's what I always tell people to do.
100%, brother, definitely. And Corey, before we cut you loose, man, for anybody who's looking for you, where can you be found?
I mean, as far as social media, all my stuff is Corey Pierce or Core Forbid, CORFORBID. So obviously I'm not really that hard to find. So that's like Twitter, it's Core Forbid, Instagram, it's Core Forbid, Facebook, it's Corey Pierce. I have like my regular page, and I have like a public page because they make you do that at a certain point, which I thought was supremely goofy, but I have one. Because basically they cut off the amount of friends that you're allowed to have on Facebook. So then you have to get a public page so you can be cool, like all the cool kids. And then obviously Disciples of Verity Grooves, God Forbid, is on all those platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. God Forbid it's actually on Instagram and Twitter now after 15 years or whatever the fuck it's been of being broken up. Now we have an Instagram page and a Twitter page. So I'm not hard to find. I'm easy to find, as far as all that goes. And I'm usually like always talking shit about basketball or barbecue or music on Twitter a lot. So
awesome, brother. Well, again, Corey, thank you so much, man. We can't.
Corey, real quick, big. I did the black and white thing, but I gotta go thick or thin.
Thick or thin? Are you talking about body formats?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, I gotta go that end.
I've been in both and everywhere in between. I like a sort of mid-grade body format, but I definitely like a thicker body just because I like a woman's body. I don't want to fuck a girl that looks like a 10-year-old boy. Like, I'm not into that. I'm not into that shit. Like when a chick has no tits and no ass and no hips, like that's bothersome. Like I feel like that's really like you're a little gay if you want to fuck girls like that. You really want to fuck them.
Whoa, dude. No, I like my guys a little chunky. So, it's not gay.
Well,
no, I mean, if you want to fuck boys, you want to fuck like a chick that doesn't have any tits or any female features, then you like dudes. Is that not the case? I mean,
give me a bear any day, dude.
Yeah, but that's still a dude. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, if you like a girl devoid of female qualities, then you like dudes.
Well,
that's my point to all of that.
Well, let me jump in there, Bobby. We got to be careful. That got us in trouble last time, dude.
I know.
Anyway, Corey,
I like Italian with mustaches, but you know what that's gonna do.
Corey, thank you so much, man. This was a really insightful time, and we really appreciate you spending your evening with us, man. Say, Brad, sorry to do this to you coming off of that, but we're not going to leave you out either, man. So I want to kick it over to you. Where can you be found with all the current news and everything, and also just anything in particular that you didn't address yet that you want to? Go ahead.
I can't be found, and I prefer it that way. So.
Hey, Brad, I gotta hook up with you and talk about some bands, but we'll do that at some other point. I'll get your your contact info.
I'll shoot you a PM.
Just get to me, Corey. I'll give it to you.
Facebook. I'll shoot you a PM with my contact and stuff, so we can chop it up. Some other stuff I want to talk about too. So I want to talk about California stuff. So we'll talk.
All right, cool.
I got a little bit of Vegas time. I had 3 years out in Vegas a couple years back, so there's some stuff of interest I want to talk to you about out there too. Concert wise and stuff too. So there's a lot more you can do out there than you can do here right now. So.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to get off here because I need to go eat something. I've been here talking about butt plugs and fat bitches. So,
Corey, thank you again.
Thank you,
all right.
Enjoy.
You guys take it easy.
You too, man.
Take care. Facebook, Brad Lee.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brad.
Brad Lee on Facebook. It's I think at the only Brad Lee on Instagram. I think I'm rarely ever on Instagram. Majority of the time, I have a Twitter too that I'm rarely ever on. I think that's at the only Brad Lee as well. Something to that effect or whatever. I'm not the only Brad Lee. I just think I am. So then on Facebook, I'm mostly on Facebook all the time. Anybody PMs me or tags me on Facebook, you can get me that way. That's about it without giving out my personal number or whatever. You know, I'm not on TikTok. I don't believe in TikTok. I'm trying to keep my daughter and my son off of it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay, that's got to be the first time I ever made a black guy nervous.
You might have. It's possible. But anyway, Brad, thanks again, man, as well for coming on tonight, man, and spending a little bit of your 420 with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having us, man.
Absolutely. For sure. Fans, thank you guys so much. We will have Brad on periodically throughout the next couple of months, leading up to Masquerade. Like you guys know, we'll all be involved in that. Yep. Bobby will be there. Angel will be there. Me and Steve will be hosting it. So we really appreciate Brad, Angie, and BLE for giving us the honor and trusting us to carry on this event. So we are very, very stoked about that. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much for spending a very long but fantastic evening with us. So we're going to cut you guys loose as well. Guest announcement on Friday. We will see you guys next week. Make sure you're hitting up all of our socials, Facebook and YouTube in particular, because that's where we're live. That's where you'll see us. But also Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Follow all of the guys on their socials, from Angel Alamo, The Real Psycho Steve, Bobby Dreyer, and myself as well. And make sure you're following up Brad and Corey and BLE for everything they're getting involved in. We will see you guys next week. As always, again, guest announcement on Friday. See you guys in a week. Get some rest. We love you. As always, you've been watching The Metal Summit.
Dun, dun, dun.